you just got to be strong and do what you got to do. You don't get a chance to reflect that you're a person and that you have feelings and you have other things that are important to you. And then the whole time you're not being seen, right? And
Yeah.
so I think at the end of the day, we all just want to be seen and understood. That's our real love language, and everything else is just a piece of that. I got that from Humble the poet. And I love that because it's the truth. And we just have to figure out how to do it, which means we need to take out that time to get to know each other so we can appreciate each other. But more importantly, as you work on yourself and pour into yourself and begin to love yourself, love and like yourself, then you have a little bit more compassion for others because you've taken out that time to pour into yourself and understand and accept your good and your bad.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Legacy Speaks. Today, we're going to have an amazing conversation with somebody who I feel is like super dope. As always, I love having conversations with not only clinicians, but also individuals who are champions for mental health and mental well-being. And so today, guys, I want to introduce you to a wonderful woman by the name of V. Bailey. She has a platform called Talks with V, and actually, I served as a guest on her platform previously before, but I think it's really important to bring her here for a particular reason. But before we dive right in, I need you guys to hit that subscription button below. That way you can stay up to date on newly released content on a regular basis. And if this is your first time to the Legacy Speaks podcast, my name is Sierra Hillsman, licensed professional counselor and emotional wellness coach. So we're going to dive into introducing my guest, Ms. V. Bailey. V, how are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. Oh my goodness.
Yes, it's such a pleasure, getting to be here and, come as a guest on your platform as well. I've been watching you for some time and just love what you're doing and excited to be here, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And girl, I know for the viewers, we have to do the formalities and whatnot, but we have talked several times previously before.
Yes.
And so all of that stuff goes out the window. You're like the cousin from far away that I get to
Yes.
see from time to time, okay? But
I love it.
but V, the reason why I thought it was important to have a conversation with you was because you are so strategic, and not even strategic. I'm trying to figure out a different word, but you're so intentional with the way that you formulate healthy conversation amongst women of color, specifically Black women. And I see like your heart for people, and I see your heart for connection. And I feel like that's so important when it comes to our mental well-being. I think we talked about this previously before.
Absolutely.
There's two types of social support, where it's just like you have that emotional support where you're holding space for other individuals and you're giving them a listening ear. And then you also have the instrumental support, the intentional doing of something for somebody else to bring some type of like relief for them. And and the way that you structure conversations, it's so healing. And so I wanted to ask you, how has conversations, or at least the creation and facilitation of conversations, been helpful for your personal healing journey?
That's so good. Well, for me, all the stuff that you said, that's accurate. I'm very passionate. I love people and I'm passionate about motivating and inspiring and just, contributing my part to, help people win. Right. Because I love to see it. It's like if I'm working with someone and they win, it's like proud mama, and it's so funny because my old boss, when I used to work for Ritz Carlton, she was just like, "Oh, you're a mama bear," and I'm like, "Girl, I'm a mama bear with no kids." It's like in my past life, I think I was big mama with 12 kids running around here and grandkids, all that. But yes, so for me on my journey, what I realize is that in the healing process is that through my work, I'm able to help myself heal as well.
Mm,
My passion, I guess it comes from a place that, I mean, I don't know. I've always been like that since I was a kid, where I always wanted to help. And when I would see someone sad or down or struggling with something, I always wanted to help them to get into a happy place. I've always been a happy person. And so I guess I'm just like, let's get the energy up to where I'm at. And so, but in the process of working on myself and seeing the areas that I need improvement or things that I didn't know that were holding me back from being my best self. I got on that journey to work on those things, but also since I'm passionate about people, a lot of times I think I was more concerned about them, because I
mm,
myself to be pretty strong. I'm like, I'll be all right. Let me take care of these people because they're, in a bad place. And what I realized is that my passion for taking care of people is taking care of me, as well, because through this process of bringing individuals on, my show, it's a lot of therapists, it's a lot of, doctors, it's people who have life experience in whatever it is the topic. And so as I interview them, they pour into me, and I'm able to take these different nuggets, from what I've learned from them and what I've learned from the everyday person, in preparation for these shows. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really has transformed my life. The episodes that, you were on, as I was listening, I'm like, okay, there's many therapists that are out there, but people's they have their niche, right? They have their specialty, and then they have like the specialty that they have, trained for and educate, got education on. And then there's like that individual uniqueness, that thing that you came prepackaged with that God gave you, and when they're in that space doing this work, it's like, oh wow. Like I was listening to you and I was like, she's changing my life right now. Because talk about like grievance. And I realized, we all go through different things, and we, say, okay, maybe I should get a therapist. But I think we don't know what we're looking for sometimes. And when you talked about like grievance, like grieving things in that process, I was just like, that's what it is. A lot of times we're not able to connect with our family members, like our, and our parents, our relationships with our parents, and our friends, because different things have happened and there's different relationships that may have, come to an end, but we haven't allowed ourselves to grieve that, that loss properly. So therefore we're stuck in this place. And so
mm.
everything you experience from that point is kind of like tainted.
Mm.
And so, yeah, so I love that. And I've applied that, like, okay, what things do I need to let go? What things relationships maybe do I need to grieve so that I can really be able to embrace those new experiences, those new relationships.
Hey, lovely. Shout out to you because I know mental and emotional wellness is important to you. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. But lean in really quickly because I know sometimes it's really hard to create a plan and actually sticking to it. So let's take your mental health to another level. Ever wonder what keeps you from fully executing? Ever wonder how you can build the confidence for decision making? Well, guess what? You're not alone and I'm here to help. So head over to mentalhealthgoals.com for your free mental health plan. It'll give you practical strategies for addressing your current mental health needs. But first, you got to tap in. So head over to mentalhealthgoals.com to receive your free mental health action plan today. Do it right now. Mentalhealthgoals.com. See you soon. Hey, y'all, it's Sierra. Make sure you head over to shoplegacysbks.com to check out the latest gear. As always, we have the classic therapy is dope crew neck as well as tees. So head over to cop your crew neck today. It comes in heather navy, that cardinal red, as well as that beautiful gold that we love to see. So head over to purchase yours, not only for yourself, but also for a friend as well. And we are offering free shipping right now. So head over to shoplegacysbks.com to cop all of your therapy's dope gear and check out all the other additional merch as well. Oh,
So,
that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for all of that. And thank you for your kind words. I
oh yeah.
honestly, yeah, I wouldn't have probably been in my bag if you didn't give me the space to do that. So I
Oh
think that's
yes.
really dope. There was something that you said that really resonated with me. You said that in the midst of helping other people, you're also healing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that because it sounds like you're operating in the both and
Mm,
rather than feeling like I have to choose helping other people over helping myself.
mm-hmm,
And I
mm-hmm,
love the fact that you are so mindful of that because there
mm,
are some individuals who are like withdrawing and isolating and feeling like they don't want to connect anymore because it's just like how much of me is required to be able to
mm,
like be the healer or to be that friend or to be that person who can hold space. And so,
mm-hmm.
can you provide insight on what helps you to feel so comfortable and confident to live in the both and rather than feeling like that you're losing a part of you when helping somebody else?
Well, I really think that that's happened over time where I've learned, to do that. When I started all of this, it's so crazy because everyone said, you need to be like on radio, you need to have a talk show, you need to be in front of people, journalism, something. And then I was just like, once I found out what all went into journalism, I was like, I don't think I want to do all that writing. So that's not my strong suit. But but I found my way to it. So I started off with having like raw conversations, but and then it didn't kind of like I did one episode here, one episode there. But where I really got into it is that when I see a need, right? So when I see something and observe something that's going on in my community or my community around me, I want to take action because I'm just like, I don't like that, but it needs to be fixed. How can I help change that?
Mm.
And so what I noticed is that there was a disconnect with Black men and Black women. And I'm like, I'm a Black woman, and I don't want to be disconnected from our men, in whatever way, if it's a relationship as far as romance or just being a sister, um, part of your family, like I don't want that disconnect. And so what I thought of is like, let me come up with something creative. I love the idea of like dating and things. And I'm like a hopeless romantic and I love love. And so I was just like, oh, well, this will be cute. Maybe, I can create a dating show and it'll be unique, like an experiment, but a way to bring us together and for us to have fun and possibly meet, connect with someone that maybe your life partner, right? And so, how awesome would that be? And so I decided to do that. And in 2019, and I just didn't know if I was going to make it audio or what. But then the pandemic happened. And so I was like, perfect. So we can release it. We'll, go live, right? And so basically the show was just interviewing, individuals, trying to match them as closely as possible to their preference. And they went on a live date on Instagram. And honestly, I was the first person to do that. And I'm like, would I had a little bit more money, this could have really been something. And so, because I didn't know what was going to happen in the pandemic, but I remember my friend saying, let me get back on Bumble. So just in case anything happens, I have someone to keep me company for the next few weeks. We didn't know it was going to be years, right? And so we got that rolling. I got that rolling. And in the process of it, when you create something, you're not watching for entertainment purposes. You're watching to see what needs to be fixed, what's working, what's not. And what I seen is that in examining, individuals is that we don't like ourselves.
Mm.
And because when you like yourself, you show up as yourself. You're unapologetic about it. You're like, oh no, I like myself. This is me for real, and you show up in that way. When you don't like yourself, you start, once what I noticed is that the individuals, once they got in front of the person that they're interacting with and potentially liking, they're like, okay, I got to perform.
Whew.
They turn into the representative. And I was just like, what is happening? Because I'm like, I interviewed with you. You poured your soul out to me, you know. But of course, I mean, I have that ability. But they're like, well, I know I'm not dating you. I know that you're here to help me. So I'm giving you all of this so that you can help me. But then they don't have that self-awareness, right?
Mm.
As well as not knowing that they don't like themselves. And so then they start turning into this person that will be accepted, who people like, who they think that people like, you know, and not them. And another thing I also realized is that we don't know each other. You know, we're raised in these homes. You can be raised with your siblings, your brothers, and your sisters, and girls and boys are being raised very differently. Of course, you know, you have to be, you know, trained on what the sex that you are, right? But as far as the other things, the abilities to connect, I do personally believe that we have to raise kids and teach them the value of the opposite sex because, you know, the way this thing is set up is we're supposed to connect and keep producing, you know, and if we don't know or appreciate the opposite sex, you'll see what we have going on now is just a plain out disrespect and gender wars and all that, you know, different thing because you just don't value the other person. You value them for the wrong things, you know? And so that drove me to have the conversation. So I created Ask a Black Man, V Bailey's Ask a Black Man, and V Bailey's Ask a Black Woman. And it gave that opportunity for men to speak and not be challenged in a negative way, because you should be challenged, because that's going to make you better, but not in a negative way or a combative way. And they get to see that, oh, women do want to listen to us, you know, and vice versa. And it was a beautiful thing because I didn't realize I was going to love the Ask a Black Man so much because, like we've been talking about, I'm able to heal and learn, you know, things from these individuals. And so as these men shared, and then as they were so grateful that there was a space for them, it made me really have more compassion, you know, for men and what they go through and the fact that they are not able to express themselves like that, especially Black men, you know, because there is this idea that they're just strong and rah, 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 beating on their chest. But a lot of them are just little boys, you know, and how that contributes to their mental health, their mental well being. You know, it's just like, you just got to be strong and do what you got to do. You don't get a chance to reflect that you're a person and that you have feelings and you have other things that are important to you. And then the whole time you're not being seen, right? And so I think at the end of the day, we all just want to be seen and understood. That's our real love language, and everything else is just a piece of that. You know, I got that from Humble the poet. And I love that because it's the truth. And we just have to figure out how to do it, which means we need to take out that time to get to know each other so we can appreciate each other. But more importantly, as you work on yourself and pour into yourself and begin to love yourself, love and like, you know, yourself, then you have a little bit more compassion for others because you've taken out that time to pour into yourself and understand and accept your good and your bad. So
Absolutely, all of that. What I'm hearing is it's like multiple processes, right? So gaining a better understanding of yourself and who you are so that you can create the space for vulnerability and transparency for other people.
Yes.
And then when that happens, you're also being intentional about getting to know the other individual. And when you're confident in who you are, whatever they say cannot like deter that or challenge that. It may create
because you're not
love. Yeah,
because you're not looking for their validation at that point. You've already, you know, you understand that, you know, and if you're spiritual and have a relationship with God, that God has already qualified you, validated you, you know, but also you taking out that time to really love yourself and not looking for the answer outside of you. It's within, you know, and that just, it just changes things. It changes how you experience life.
Absolutely. And treating every single person as an opportunity to grow or maybe even a learning lesson there. Like a friend of mine's a couple years ago, she once said that the transformation is in the exchange. And
Mm,
so learning to recognize that in time and energy and focus and attention, you're
mm.
exchanging something as you are communicating with the other individual, but make sure that exchange is going to be healthy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's such a beautiful thing because especially when you're surprised, like when it catches you off guard, and it's like a whole word, and you're like, ooh, that just spoke to my soul right there. I love that. But I'm kind of a like corny.
No, you're not. You are far from it. Far from it. It's very interesting because like the same passion that you have for the people that you bring onto your platform, that's literally the reason why I continue to have conversations with other
Hmm.
clinicians. I
Hmm.
understand that I don't know every single niche. I understand that I
Hmm.
like basically it's free CEUs for me because I get an opportunity to learn like other intervention, other schools of thought, other
Yes,
approaches and things of that nature. And it sounds like you're
absolutely.
doing literally the same thing, finding
Yes.
ways to unpack and uncover those things, not just for yourself, but for your audience and your listeners as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm very proud of it. I think about through my life, I've done different things that other people have been impressed with. And I remember speaking to this guy's, a healer, and he was just telling me that I need to do things that I'm impressed by. And I'm just like, well, I don't impress easily. But I realized that once I got into the role of this, my passion, when I decided to, uh, you know, switch it up a little bit and then go into, in the second season of Talks with V, focus on women's healing, that's when something powerful happened. It was just like, oh, okay, now I'm impressed. And I'm impressed because I'm in my purpose,
Ooh.
and I felt that. And it was just like, I got that nudge. And then different things were happening around me. And I was just like, I can't sit back and watch this. Like something is going on with our women, and I realized, because the previous season was focusing on just being a better person and how you can do different things to work on your own growth, right? And I realized, okay, we want, there's a lot of us that want to be married. We're talking about that, but then we don't know who we are,
Mhm.
we're not pouring into ourselves, we're not loving ourselves, and that's just a recipe for disaster, that later that you're going to have resentment when you get into those relationships and you're in it for a while, you're not being fed, and then you have children and then you're being fed less because they need so much. And so it's not like that you're not enjoying being a mother, but you're pouring a lot out and not getting, you're not receiving, it's not coming, it's not being reciprocated. And so for me, it was just a powerful thing, in a pool, that it was just like, oh no, we got to talk to women. We got to be real and transparent with women. The things that you do on a day to day, like I don't go out that much. So it's just like those powerful experiences that happen, they're, few and far in between. But anytime that I go out, we have those experiences. So I was just like, let's take it to, let's go live about it. Let's have these conversations. And so we can start figuring out what's going on with us. I meet a lot of dynamic women, but sometimes they, get thrown off course because they're looking for that validation outside of themselves, because they weren't raised with love, because they weren't raised with confidence, someone pouring into them, and there's a lot of shame that happens towards women. And so we have to get to a point where we're able to release that and detach from all these things, that labels that people have given us, so that we can really like show up as our best self. And as we show up in our best self and that we're healed, I believe that we heal the world, you know? And
Mhm.
so, but when we're not healed, we tear some stuff up, and so yeah, so that's something that I wanted to, kind of move towards that direction, to help with that healing so that women can be better in their relationships as well.
Absolutely. And I know you utilize the word the best self, but I'm
Mhm.
also wanting to add your true and authentic self.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and the reason
Hmm.
why I like to hone in on that additionally is because, like you mentioned,
Hmm.
sometimes we can take on the idea of what best looks like based
Oh
upon
yeah.
our work environments based upon like what people try to impress and impose on us. And so how have you been able to, let me rephrase this question, because I know you mentioned that like you tend to get healing through other people, but there has to be some level of motivation and healing prior to the way that you ask these questions, because y'all, she's the bomb.com. Okay. Literally, I know I'm on the end where I'm constantly asking questions of other people, but like V comes prepared with questions that really hit the nail on the head. And so what work do you have to do in order to work in your zone of genius?
Wow. Honestly, I think it's just kind of being in that space of gratitude. Like I said before, I'm a pretty happy person. I don't know why. I just like first thing in the morning, I'm just like, just in this zone. And it's just like people were like, "Why? How are you singing on a Monday morning?" I'm like, I don't know, maybe because I can sing and it soothes me, and then I'm able to like come and show up that way. But how do I prepare? I think I do a lot of reflecting on and self checks, like, okay, when people talk to me and they share with me what's going on, or even a time that they may feel like offended, because I'm very like blunt. I just say what's on my mind, and that's that. But if they tell me that, then what I do, it's not over in that moment. I receive what they're saying, and then I slowly process it. And so I'm still processing, right? And when I process it, I think about the person, I put myself in their shoes, and I consider, well, how would I feel about that? And then understanding, from all the different people I've met who share their story, that I can kind of put my mind there, like, well, I know I'm not like this, and I wouldn't take it this way, but so and so that I know, they said that that's something that how they would take it. In my experience with talking to them, I know that they would take it that way. So I try to be understanding, about the needs of others, and I know who I am. I'm a jolly person. I'm like, honestly, I had an experience, don't judge me or anything like that, but I had an experience, because I've been a square child, but even an adult, but I had an experience with gummies, right? And the first time was great. I was like, oh, I need to be dosed once a week. And the next time was not so great. It was too fast, a roll of emotions, all these things were happening. But one thing that I noticed of who I am, like who I genuinely am, is a sweet girl, a sweet girl. And through life, I've had to learn what to do with that, because it's been rejected, and I always thought, I'm like, well, I'm nice to these people. Why they don't like me? Like, I don't get it. I didn't do anything to them. And I had to learn that people had different things going on, and different ways that they, take things, and different ways that they protect themselves, right? And so, with that, it taught me, how to start loving myself, and how to start just being more of myself, and accepting that, and being proud of it. Like Dr. Zoe, she came on my show sometime a couple weeks back, and she was just saying, I'm loud, and I've got this kind of personality, and I like who I am. And I was like, yes, that's right, And so just embracing more of myself. God, to go back to your question was, how do I, basically pour into myself, and really that's what it is just embracing like who I am, looking at all parts of me. There's some things that I, didn't necessarily like, or people told me that they didn't like, right? And so I used to look at that and overanalyze that, and think like, well, do I need to change these things so that I can have the things that I desire? And I realized, no, I don't have to change those things, because I have people who are in my life who are really authentic, and I see them, having and living the life that they want to live. So I know it's possible, right? And so what I do is try to, read, or listen to different sermons, or TED Talks, or, motivational speakers, or people who are just sharing their story, and how they're embracing themselves. And so, yeah, I embrace myself, but I also, the things that I know that I want to work on so I can become a better person.
Mhm.
Because that's my goal, is to always be improving and to be who I was created to be, and that's my best self. It's not perfect. It's not, nice all the time. It's not, she doesn't, ever have any, times where she wants to snap. It's embracing who it is that I am. And then when I do snap, if I do, because it takes a long time, but if I do snap, I have to check and see why did you snap? Like, what were you experiencing in that moment that made you think that you had to act out of control for that time? And then evaluate that and then do better, not sit there and be sad about it, or be hard on myself, because that's something that I used to do, is just be hard on myself. And it was just like, when you're so busy being hard on yourself and nailing yourself to the cross, you can't move, you can't grow, you can't move forward, because you are not allowing it. You're putting yourself in a prison. And so yeah, if that answers your question. I know I was kind of all over the place.
It's all good. Everything is relevant. I tell all my clients every time they feel like they're rambling, I'm like, everything matters. Like even as you were talking, like I heard in the spirit, it was like you knit your quilt with empathy. And so like you are a gatherer of people's experiences, and you have a beautiful way of like knitting them together and empathizing other people, but also empathizing with yourself. And so, quilts, that good old quilt that grandma made previously before, it keeps everyone warm. So like I heard that in the spirit, like you knit your quilt with empathy. So
oh, that's right. I'm a big blanket. A big old cuddly quilt. No, just like
oh my gosh, V, can you let the people know a little bit more about Talks with V, as well as everything else that you do? Because I think we just literally, because of my familiarity with you, I just like jumped right in. I don't even think we created space for you to let the people know who you are and what you do. So can you let the people know?
Oh, no, absolutely. So I am a content creator and host of several series, but Talks with V is what we are working on right now. We are in the second season of Talks with V, and it's all about women's healing. And we've had some great shows. And honestly, once I got more focused in on, purpose, and with focusing on women's healing, I've actually been able to help men too. Some of the episodes they've been able to watch, and it's been helpful, to them. And so that's another thing for us all to remember, is that when we're working in our purpose, some of the things that we worry about, or the areas that we want to touch, we're able to do that so much better. I don't even know if I can say it like that, but much better than we would when we're operating outside of our purpose. So just be mindful of that. Like, you're going to get the best and the most out of life when you're operating your purpose, and you just accept that, like, let me just embrace this, and so, yeah, so we're focusing on women's healing, and we have two more episodes to go. We'll be talking about Black motherhood, and pretty much women in the healthcare system, how important it is to have that Black representation, Black doctors, Black gynecologists, all that stuff, because of what's going on and how the rates that we're dying, as Black women. And then the last one, which I'm most excited about, is Live Free and Play Hard. And that's just about Black women. A lot of times we're serious, too serious, and we're not, we don't give ourselves permission to relax or to, have fun. And I believe that when we're having fun and we play more, that we're contributing little moments of joy. We're giving back little moments of joy to ourselves. So instead of waiting on someone else to do it, you're able to, show up for your life. And so, and after that, I'm going to do a short series on love and marriage. And so we'll be kind of like a little Black love situation. And it'll be a short series. And I'm also working on a book. And so I'm going through the whole pre-editing phase, and that's all about, finding your safe place. And And for now, that's it.
Absolutely. Y'all,
So,
please make sure that you're tuning in every Sunday evening. She's
and-
on Central Time, y'all. So, like, just
Mhm.
make sure that you calibrate according to your time zone.
Right,
But
because it's every other Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for Talks with V. And we go live on the HBCU Lounge Network, or I'll go live on Instagram. So yeah.
Yep. So catch her via Instagram as well as on YouTube, and that's at Talks with V. And you can also keep up with her second initiative, which is virtual first dates. So please
Mhm.
stay tuned. V, as always, I know a lot of people know that the podcast is called Legacy Speaks Podcast.
Yes.
And so I asked this question of every single guest: what would you like your legacy to say about you?
Ooh, okay. Girl, that's the one that you should have said. That's the question.
No, this is the sneaker. Like there's like a lot of people are like, oh snap,
Oh
what
my
do I?
goodness.
Yes.
Um, well, I learned that what my gifts are is bringing people together, networking, healing, and inspiring. And told I was a healer and a seer. And so for me, my legacy would be is to touch and impact as many people as possible, and kind of contribute to them being seen, them feeling seen, them feeling loved, no matter where it's coming from. If it's coming from the other end of the globe, that they are being impacted by that, and feeling loved, and feeling, I guess, giving permission for them to just embrace their authentic self. And yeah, that's that.
Love it. Thank you so much for your time, your authenticity, and just the
Yes, thank
gems
you.
that you dropped. Okay. Y'all, if there was anything that you thoroughly enjoyed about this episode, please make sure that you are tagging us at Legacy SPKS on everything, as well as at Talks with V. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Once again, my name is Sierra Hillsman, licensed professional counselor and emotional wellness coach. Stay tuned for our next episode. If you thoroughly enjoyed it, share with a friend, share with a friend, share with a friend, and we
Yeah.
will stay in touch. Until
Yes, thank you so much. Before we go, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and I love our interaction. So anytime I get an opportunity to connect with you, it's a good time. So thank you,
of
and thank
course,
everybody for watching.
y'all, she's really dope. Please make sure that y'all tap into all the things that she does. Like literally, and I know this is like a complete sidebar, like you are the reason why I started having conversations with people prior to my interviews now.
Mm. Oh,
Because it's one, I want to make sure that we're on the same page, one. And two, I just want to make sure that the flow is like supernatural. Like you are really gifted in the way that you connect with people. So yeah, that's
thank you. I appreciate it.
no problem. All right, y'all.
Bye.